chatting with Natasha Koifman. Hi, Natasha. How are you?
Hi, Isabel. I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Natasha runs NKPR, and you're huge. You're a mover shaker. I've followed you and, admired you from afar. And I think that everything that you've been doing is amazing. I think it's incredible that you've taken your business from PR to now you've collaborated and have a condo named after you, which is phenomenal. So tell us a little bit about how did you get your start?
Well, my background was in journalism, and when I started in PR certainly wasn't as prominent as a category of industry as it certainly is today because of social media and the digital world and whatnot. So it was interesting because when I was working in New York and I was seeing press releases come, sort of on my desk, I would really get an understanding of the ones that felt interesting and the ones that I would just kind of, throw in the garbage. And so when I moved back to Toronto, I remember I had two job opportunities. One was being a manager of communications for Liberty Entertainment Group, which is Nick Donato and Nadia, who, they own so many of the city's most amazing venues, and writing for the Toronto Sun. And I chose to go into communications because I just thought in PR, we are the ones that get to create the stories, as opposed to, and I love, journalists and the work that we do, but often when you're writing for a newspaper, you are told what to write. And so I sort of fell into PR and loved it. And when I started my agency, which would have been back in 2002, remember Instagram wasn't a thing then. Instagram didn't happen until 2010. And there was no digital. So the way we did PR was very much media relations. So we worked with the media. It was sponsorships and it was events. Whereas, fast forward 23 years later, it's so much more interesting because we have so many more tools in our toolbox to be able to do what we do because of the digital world and the influence that it has.
Incredible. Yeah, actually, we had Nick Donato on air with us a couple of weeks ago, so it was great chatting with him. You mentioned, sponsorship and things that you were doing, and I used to work at TIFF a million years ago, and I remember you were doing the gift bags for the celebrities. How did that come about, and how did you find cool things to put in those gift bags for celebrities?
Well, that's so interesting because I remember I started at NKPR in 2002, and so I think it was 2004, probably around there, 2005, when I started the It House, which was a gifting lounge, basically. And the way that happened, and I have a tattoo on my forearm that says "Be Brave," because anything that I've done in my career, I've had to make these sort of brave decisions. And so I remember at the time, it was a client of mine, Catherine Hicks, who still is a client, but working for a different brand. She was working for Timberland at the time, and like Timberland boots. And she had said, look, Sundance just had a gifting suite and Timberland was part of it. And really, we want to be part of a gifting lounge during the festival. And she said, I'd like you to create it. And she's like, and if you don't, I'm going to go, somewhere that has a gifting lounge. So you have two choices. And I remember at the time thinking, well, I've never done this before. I'm sure I can do it. But, you're sort of always, you hesitate, right? And so at the time I was like, okay, let's go for it. And I just always, for me, a cause and giving back and philanthropy is always so important. So we created the very first gifting lounge that was connected to a charity. So for every celebrity that came in, they had an option to create a gift bag for Big Brothers Big Sisters that went back to a family. And it was pretty incredible. We did the gifting lounge. It was super popular because celebrities wanted to give back. Both, some of them took their own gift bag. Some of them created a gift bag for talent. I remember getting a call from Angelina Jolie specifically saying, we love what you're doing and we'd like you, on our behalf to donate, 2 gift bags back to Big Brothers Big Sisters. And so it was just something that we continued to do. And then the lounge really evolved from there. Last year we did a partnership with People Magazine and Entertainment Weekly and Shutterstock. And so we had all the celebrities in, and we did it at one of our clients' presentation galleries, which was the Free Presentation Gallery, where they're going to be building a condo in that area on Adelaide Street. And so to answer your question of how I started it, it was that. We had clients already that wanted to participate in it. And then we also just went out to other potential brands that wanted to see their products on celebrities.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So now you're, you're aligned, I should say, with a condo development. How did that collaboration with Lantera happen that now it's the Natasha, the residences? That's amazing.
Well, I suppose it probably started from the fact that, if anyone has followed me for, a long period of time, they would know I'm very consistent with who I am, what my values are, what my brand is, even right down to, my aesthetic is black. I wear the color black. I'm very monochromatic, monotone when it comes to just my aesthetic overall.
It's funny. I was going to ask you about the wearing black thing too.
Yeah. It's just, what you see is what you get. And so Lantera had been a client of ours for about 5 years at that point, and we were doing all of their PR. And so when they bought the property on Adelaide Street, which was just 2 blocks away from where our original office was, and we were there for about 15 years, just behind the Bell Light Box on Adelaide and Widmer. I remember Mark Mandelbaum, it was January 2020, just before COVID hit in March, and he called me into his office. He's like, I need to speak to you. And I thought, okay, what's going on? And he said, I have a great idea. And if you know Mark Mandelbaum, for those that are fortunate enough to know him, he is, I think, he's a brilliant marketer. He has so many great ideas and very, out of the box ideas. And so he called me into his office and he said, I have a great idea. We just purchased this land at Adelaide Street, and we want to collaborate with you on the project. And ultimately what that was a licensing agreement. But I had the privilege of being able to work on that project so extensively. So we collaborated on it. I worked really closely with Alexander Munch, who's the interior designer on the project, and Peter Tunney, who's one of my favorite pop artists, to do the artwork for the building. And I think the reason Mark brought me into that project is because that's a neighborhood that we're very familiar with. We were there before TIFF was there. We were there before any of the restaurants were there, before any of the buildings were there, before there was really an entertainment area there. And so he felt that with our extensive knowledge of the neighborhood and also just my connection to women and female leaders and empowering women, that would be the right tone for that building. And it paid off, because within the first 4 weeks of us launching in 2023, we sold 75% of that building out in 4 weeks. So that's, just almost $500 million worth of inventory.
That is incredible.
That's okay. Yeah.
I have 30 seconds left, and I have so many questions to ask of you. One of them I really wanted to ask is, what do you think about the whole influencer thing, and where do you think it's going? And I got 30 seconds left.
Okay. Well, I think there's a big difference between influencer and people of influence. And so that's a big, big distinction, because people of influence, I do believe, hold that influence to convert. I think influencers, I would look at them as people that are very good at user-generated content, which almost acts as advertising. And so you need to utilize them differently, because they serve a very different purpose.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Natasha. This has been awesome. And thanks so much for joining us this morning. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. And Happy New Year. Happy 2025.
Thanks. You too.